Good afternoon and welcome. This is like our fourth different session we've done over the past few weeks. Give a couple minutes for more people to join. I will have a question and answer available at the end. If you'd like to post something in the chat window, that's fine too. And I will be sharing my window in a minute. So just get settled in. If you want to give me a thumbs up that you can hear me, that'd be great. Just so I know everyone can hear me. And let me get my PowerPoint going. I was playing around with a timer slide, something new I was trying to play with. Let me open this up and share it. It's, okay. So today, this afternoon, we're going to be doing an introduction to Microsoft Teams. As you can see, I have a lot of different certifications, and I got kind of funny last night and also added some alphabet soup at the end there. But certified ethical hacker, chief information security system professional or something, chief information security officer, vice president of Just Solutions. Some of you know me, some of you don't. You can go to our website, check me out. I guess I was trying to be funny there. That's what happens when you work late at night. All right, our agenda today. Hello Teams, goodbye Skype. I'm going to talk about what's happening in the world of Skype and where Teams has come from. Talk about your network and system requirements. And I'm going to talk about chat and channels, files and sharing. And then I'm going to attempt a live demo. That will be the most of our time will be spent doing a live demo and some question and answers. So again, if you have any questions, ask. I see them in a little window and I can always try to address them as I go along. And then we also have Q&A at the end. But my goal here is to kind of give you as much information about how to use Teams, how it works, and even demonstrate it as well live with one of my coworkers. So with that in mind, let's get to the first slide. Hello Teams, goodbye Skype. Microsoft, whether we liked it or not, if you are an Office 365 customer, they were switching us over to Teams in some ways without our, I wouldn't say knowledge, because they tell us, we get so many emails from Microsoft, who reads them all, but in those emails, they said they were going to be transitioning us from Skype for Business online over to Teams. So there's Skype and Skype for Business. Skype, they own Skype. They bought it years ago, spent a few $1 billion, made some, I don't know if they're from Germany or Denmark, but made a couple young gentlemen billionaires 3 times over when they bought the company quite some time ago. They didn't really mess with Skype itself. They let Skype continue to grow and evolve, but they decided in their game plan they were going to eventually wipe out Skype and merge it with their other technologies, and I will talk about that. So Teams is what's replacing Skype for Business. But Skype and its capabilities are all included in Teams, but Teams is a lot more than Skype. So it's not their equivalent. No, it's really, Skype is just one piece of Teams, and I'm trying to get you a little educated on that as well. So Microsoft Teams is now the primary client for meetings and calling in Office 365. And when I mean calling, yes, we may be doing video chat right now. We might be doing a video session, but they are actually going to be making, you can integrate VoIP and phone and landline capability in a sense with, or VoIP capability with Teams as well. That's an additional option, but everyone gets Teams, and we'll talk about that and how that works. So what's really amazing for Team is Team really does work around creating a work environment for your business. So it extends all the capabilities of Skype's, but now you have all the file sharing. One of Microsoft's best kept secrets really is the SharePoint server. Some companies have been using SharePoint for a lot of years and building applications and intranets and external sites for their customers and things, and using SharePoint, have been using it for years. And Microsoft did not see it getting adopted by small and medium businesses. They only see the enterprise using it. So they came out with OneDrive for Business. OneDrive for Business is a function and feature set of SharePoint, which we have. And Teams uses that, plus you have all the collaborative capability of Word and Excel, and we'll try to demonstrate that. And then you also have the ability for projects. You can store and share files and do collaboration, and you also have your chatting and call capability and doing meetings. So amazing platform, lots of capabilities, and I'm going to try to demonstrate that today. So what happens is, if you kind of look at the left side of the screen, that's what Skype looked like. Maybe you're using Skype for Business, I'm not sure. But now they're kind of transitioning us, letting you know that Teams is, you're moving over to Teams, and then you get the new look and feel of Teams, and I will demonstrate for that as well. But this is what users will see at each phase. Many of you have already gone through it. If you are new to Office 365, you will automatically be put into Teams now. We can set up coexistence. There are ways and some PowerShell commands we can set up so you can have actually both running on the machine at the same time. I can demonstrate that because we have that set up here. But I really am trying to transition all of our people over to Teams, and you can still use Skype if you like, but there's really no reason to as moving forward. You'll see as well. Networking considerations. This really, there's three pieces of it. I think at both ends we're kind of in good shape, meaning Microsoft's network is incredibly fast, very, very high speed, low latency network, optimized for Teams across the world. So their backbone can handle it, no problem there. Even with all the onset of people working from home. The last statistic I heard was over 11 million people signed up in just a 1 week, signed up for Teams with this work at home situation. And I'm sure that number has probably exploded past that. But their network's handling it fine. The on-premise network is at your end. That's your site, that's your gigabit network, that's your switches, your firewall, your capability in your office. Most offices have been upgrading over the past few years, upgrading to Cat 6 and gigabits. So, and all the new computers are pretty much gigabits. There's not much 10100 sitting out there anymore. So all of our capability pretty much in the office is capable. The middle section is the section which really is the biggest variable. That's your Spectrum, that's your home network, that's your interconnect of the rest of the world. For example, Spectrum in Rochester area, some of you I know are out of state, but in our area, Spectrum has to give us 100 by 10, and actually that's grown to 200 by 20. Now, people said, "Oh, that's so nice, the Spectrum." What they don't realize is they were by law required to do that because they got sued by the Attorney General of New York, and they weren't providing the speeds they were supposed to be. So we all got they lost a lawsuit and they had to make amends with the state, and so they're giving us all faster speed. So you should be getting at least 100 by 10 at your house. If you're not, do the speed test and get yourself bumped up. If your infrastructure can handle it, if they can, they're supposed to be giving you 200 by 20 for free. And then for about 20 bucks more, I have the ultra speed, which is 400 by 20. And the reason I went to that is because you don't get sustainable speeds with their service ever. It's not like fiber. So the faster you can get, the better you can. And so I went with the 400 for an extra 20 bucks to try to get as much speed as I could at home for work at home as well. So check your internet speed. The other thing is, if you are in the office, you may want to consider beefing up your internet speed in your office to a faster speed. If you're on fiber, you can dial that up pretty easily. If you're on cable, it takes many, many months to get fiber installed. I would think and consider that right now. We'd be happy to help you shop that and see what's available. There's alternatives to Spectrum for fiber. Green Light Network is one that comes to mind, and others. But this is what you need to consider for your networking considerations. Office 365 is an integral part of Teams, and what I'm trying to explain there is there's a new feature, but a new feature set and capabilities they build into 365 groups. And what happens is now anyone in your organization could make a group and have permission to create a group. You can control these things. These are all manageable. But now Office 365 groups tie into Teams and team groups as well. So I'll show you how that looks and what that looks like as well. But there's owners. Owners act as a moderator. Owners allowed to add and remove group members. And they have the ability typically to delete conversations. You control that. And then you have members, which are your typical users, and then you're allowed guests. No, you do not have to have a license for guests. Anyone can get Teams for free, no cost, just like you can do WebEx, and you don't have to have an account with WebEx. You will get a guest account for being able to use Teams. Anyone is permitted to be a guest, and you can control that. Administrators can set who can be guests and what are who can be permitted in different groups, and I'll talk about as we get further into that. But Office 365 groups does play and tie in with Teams. Oop, don't want to go past this. Teams and Exchange. I've been asked this a lot. Exchange is integral to this whole process, and they give you access to Exchange online for free with the basic service of Teams. If you're running in-house Exchange and you look at my chart here, you'll see all the reasons why you really don't want to be running Exchange on-premise anymore. We're an IT company, and we dropped running in-house Exchange years ago. My engineers didn't want to have to deal with it anymore. Exchange is one of these beasts that you have to feed and maintain and upgrade and manage, and it's constantly needs care and feeding. It constantly wants more and more disk space, log files, you name it. If you've ever had an Exchange server crash in-house, rebuilding it takes days or if not a week to rebuild from the logs and all the system logs. Having an in-house Exchange server is just like you trying to run your own electric utility plant. That's just kind of crazy talk these days. So I look at it and say, hey, let Microsoft, it's their product, their tool, let them have to deal with the aggravation of running an Exchange server, let them patch it, let them update it, let them back it up. And with the amount of storage Microsoft gives you, you can't compete with that in your own internal system. So why try to have terabytes of storage for all your users when Microsoft is going to give it in the cloud? Also now, by not having an on-premise Exchange server, you don't have to worry about backing it up. You don't have to worry about maintaining hardware for it. You don't have to worry about upgrading and patching it and falling behind on the releases and the versions and the security on it. And you get all these great new integration touch points by being in the cloud. There's so many other capability that exists, and you look across this chart, you give yourself a lot more green and a lot more options when you go online and you get rid of running a hosted in-house Exchange. So, if you ask my opinion, professional opinion, you got it. get rid of the in-house Exchange server. It is not worth running. You eliminate all those licensing costs. You cannot compete with Microsoft running it for you. So I would not try to do it in-house anymore. But what happens is Teams lives on Exchange Online, uses SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business, and then the Office 365 group creation. It ties all those pieces together in a really nice, easy, friendly way to deal with groups and teams. So let's go take a look. Channel meetings versus private meetings. This is really a nice feature. Is you're going to see this, and I'll demonstrate it. You have channel meetings and channel history. You can instantly have establish a meeting right away. Maybe you're on a chat session with somebody and you want to start sharing your desktop or show them something or share documents or collaborating on something. You can instantly do that. You can add other people, instantly add someone else to your private meeting, and it starts a whole nother thread. So the history of your private conversation stays private, but now you've got a new thread going with the other new people you've joined into your meeting. So you have channel meetings and you can have private meetings, and we'll talk about that, but it's a really integral feature of Teams, which makes it really powerful as well. There's really not a limit into how many you can have. Let's take a quick look. This slide's a little old. Microsoft's made changes right here. This box that says meetings is called calendar. They made a little strategic, the symbol's identical, but the wording now says calendar. What they did is they decided to call it calendar, and that integrates directly with your Outlook calendar. And I will show that in the live demo section. But this is kind of the basic screen, and you have this, what they call persistent chat workspace. So this area is your chat channel, but you never lose the history. My biggest beef with Skype was when I closed the window by mistake, I lost my conversation history. Well, sure, I can go into my Outlook and dig through it, go down to conversation history in Outlook. A lot of you don't even know it's there. Go back in there and dig for it and then search for it and try to find that conversation, but it is a royal pain to try to do that. Here, your channel history is there forever, which is really great. It gets archived, it has history, but now if someone joins that channel, they can go back and catch up. They can go back and read all the previous conversations, look and see all the other documents, and it's completely searchable. If you look at the top here, you've got this nice search area, and it is a beautiful universal search that you can put something in there and you can go back and find anything that's been shared in that channel. Now, chats are private, but it also has the history, and it's only saved for you and that other person, or if you join a third party into a chat, it's still a private session, and you can have private channels. But there's a little bit of overlap between chats and channels, but as you see and I show you what a channel does, you'll realize why that's probably your focal point of where you'll be all day and how you'll be jumping around. But Teams is one of these platforms that you end up using and keeping open all day, in some ways like you do with Outlook, and in some cases instead of Outlook, which is kind of interesting. You really work with both. Here's files. One of the complaints about SharePoint I've had from so many customers is SharePoint's confusing and I don't understand it and I don't know how to use it. Well, what they've done is, again, by putting Teams in front of SharePoint, they made it easier. That say, okay, here's files. Okay, oh great, so here's my files and here's my folders and here's my documents. Oh, they're all in SharePoint? I didn't realize that. But SharePoint is the engine behind it, is the database behind storing all these documents, which is a wonderful, wonderful concept. So instead of you having to be technical at all, you're instantly using one of the most powerful collaborative tools, and that's what SharePoint is. So now your documents are getting saved there, and I'll show you how really cool it is when you're in a channel and you load a document into a channel to share with everyone, it's automatically saved in the files area. So you don't even have to worry about it. You just literally put it into that channel, into the file area. Only the members of that team can see that file area or those files in that channel, and you can all jump in and collaborate. So you can literally open any, there's examples here of Word and Excel files. You could open up, mark a performance chart, and you could all be looking at it together, and it's all being collaborative right in SharePoint. No extra effort, no having to figure out the permissions. Again, all behind the scenes is done for you with the Office 365 groups that we've already set up So as you create your teams, you're literally creating groups and you're creating the permissions and the access. So it's a really fascinating way they've developed a front end to make administration really easy for anybody to be able to go through and do this. So again, they're taking, we call this shadow IT. We're taking this out of the control of IT. IT can always manage the policies and the deletion rules and the retention rules. IT can still do all the administrative things that they need to do, but now the users have and the teams have the power to manage their own environment and be productive without having to wait for someone in IT to do something for them. So here's a library. If you were to jump out and go to SharePoint, this is what it looks like. And as you can see, this is the SharePoint look and feel, but here I have that same library inside of my teams. So again, it's already built right in. This is the general screen. This is kind of where you are. Every channel pretty much starts, each one of these is a team. How you group it can be a team by department, by a geographic area, by common interest, you name it. You can have teams that are dedicated towards personal things like company social type things, fun things, joke of the day, whatever. You can have anything you want from that standpoint, and you can have all these separate business groups, and then each one of these underneath, say business development, you have channel, a general knowledge share, opportunities pipeline. Those are what we call the channels. And when they're dark, bold like that, that means there's a new posting in that. So this is kind of just looking at the as an overview. It's showing me that there's something new in these as well. There's a feature called the mention. We're using the @ symbol. You might have started seeing that in Outlook. It's available across the whole platform now. But what happens is you can start tagging people in conversations. And even if that person isn't in that meeting or isn't in that channel, they'll be alerted that they were mentioned, and they'll be alerted to you that, hey, you were mentioned and here's the conversation you were mentioned in. So it becomes a really nice way to keep people in the loop, and kind of when you're doing assignments, if you use the mention symbol, it will literally alert that person and create a reminder to them even if they're not online. You can click right on the calendar button here. This is really calendar button now, but that's how you instantly can schedule a meeting. You can also come down right down here to this camera symbol and click there to do an instant session as well. So when we do the live demo, we'll show you that. So SharePoint online storage, they're giving you 1 terabyte per user, and SharePoint gives you 1 terabyte for the whole organization, plus another 10 gig for every licensed user. So you have a tremendous amount of space. Look at that, 1 terabyte per user, 1 terabyte for the whole organization, plus 10 gig for that. So OneDrive, it's its own storage area. SharePoint is another one. Yes, it's still all tied together, and administrator can administer and set up quotas and things of that sort. But I don't know. You can buy additional storage if you need it, but I think you'd be pretty hard pressed to run out of space. There's a little note down here, a little asterisk here that says F1 licenses don't include storage per user. F1 is like the lowest level SharePoint user. Remember, every normal, I say normal, but every subscription user, every subscriber to Office 365, no matter what plan they are, gets Teams. So that counts. The only exception, and I don't even think I've ever sold an F1. I'm not even sure I even know what an F1 is. I'd have to go look it up. But I've never sold an F1. I've sold K1s, E1s, B1. You know, there's lots of other levels, but I'm not even, I'd have to even look at what an F1 is to see why that's not included. But obviously, maybe F is for free. I don't know. Maybe they're not giving you 10 gig extra for each free user. Now we're going to jump into the live demo, and this is where it gets scary. So I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint. before I do that, let me just say that this is a good time for questions and answer as I'm doing the demo. I'm happy to jump around and show people. I don't really script my demos. That's why I kind of put that scary face on there, because my nervous face is you never know when demos might go to, Murphy might show up. Okay, here's my contact information. We will be happy to send you a copy of this presentation. And then the other thing that I want to do is make sure we share with you in the live chat. We are going to share with you a document. Let's see, share with all attendees. I want to, my screen's going to go blank while I'm switching over here. But I do want to get you the document for the what's called the Microsoft Teams Quick Start Guide. It's a nice little PDF that Microsoft put together, and I'll poke Allison to see if you've got that available for us. I'm also signing into Skype for Business, and I'm going to share my desktop with you. Hopefully no one will send me any nasty grams. Just kidding. And I'm going to share my whole desktop. You can see everything. Okay. So let me minimize this. Give me a thumbs up. You should be able to see SharePoint window open. And I'm going to jump out the Teams main screen, get out of the chat window. On the right, you can see I still have Skype. And Skype says I'm in a meeting. I'm in the offices. It has statuses for our people. I've always appreciated Skype for this little status function. I always thought that was pretty cool. So, I mean, Skype has some nice features, but it's limited. I do like it for one-on-one chats, but I do lose the history. Yeah, it's stuck somewhere in Outlook. If you go dig down in Outlook, I don't know how many of you have ever noticed this, but let me show you in Outlook. If you scroll down really far in your email and get down to conversation history, this is your conversation history for Skype. Well, that's the wrong channel, wrong mailbox. But are any of you familiar with this? If you have Skype, you have this channel. So this is what it does, is it dumps all that in there, and it's kind of a pain, but that's way hard to deal with than just coming over the chat, and you have each channel for each person, and you can look at any of them. And yeah, I'm flipping through fast because I don't know what they might say, huh? But that's our chat. You have an activity feed, which shows you when new things are happening, when documents are added, when someone's changed or added into the system. Let's go to the main team screen. So here we have all these different teams we've created. Okay, we can do them by work group, by company, by division, however you want to do it. You can have one-on-ones, you name it. You can create separate teams. And you can then also be a member of other teams. So I'm a member of Just Solutions. If you come all the way up to the top where my picture is, you see it says Just Solutions Inc. I can pull down that and I can join my accountability group called the Six. Now I'm switched over to a whole different team that I'm actually a guest in. And this accountability group, we meet on Teams once a week, and we discuss our industry and managed services. We're all different managed service providers around the country, and we talk about different topics and how we're handling things. So we do all that, and we do our conversations, our meetings in here. We have call topics. We do our group calls. We have files that we share. These are our files that we share that help all of us by all the different businesses. And so I'm showing you an external team that I am a guest in. So I don't manage this data storage. This is done by the the company, the other member that set this up that owns this team site, when you create a new team, you're creating a mini site inside of SharePoint. So that's what the 6 is. I just want to show you how easy it is to switch between them. And get that out of the way. Get out of there. And I switch back to Just Solutions. I'm back into ours. And you can see our different groups. And then this ... menu is your more options menu. And so if you go into security and planning, we can open this up and see the general channel, and that's only one channel. So that team only has one channel. Under that one channel, it would have posts here. It can have files here under the file channel. You can add files here. This is called a wiki. Think of wiki as like a notebook. Some people might be more familiar with a wiki, but I can come in and rename this and say meeting notes, and that might make more sense to you. So now I have meeting notes. And I can come along and add more. I can say, well, I want to turn around and add something else. Well, what do I want to add? Holy moly, look at all these look what I can add. I can add a whole document library. I can add Excel. I can add all kinds of things. And then there's a zillion plugin tools and third-party apps that are available for Teams, including the one that I added for us, Zoom. So you can actually incorporate your Zoom right inside of Teams as well to set up a Zoom meeting out external as well if you want. So there's all these plugins you have, and you can have more and more tabs, and here's your files for that team, and only people that are members of this team can see this conversation and can see these files. So as you go through a team and you go to the Guardian team and you go to their channel, you go look at their files. Well, we didn't put any in there yet, but that's what you're going to see. You're going to see their files by, I'm not sure if there's one I can show that's got something in there. Maybe Allison can help me find one. What if 2 employees start a private chat and one claims they were harassed? Good question. That as an owner, that data and that conversation is stored on in the server, and you will be able to have access to it. You will be able to retrieve it. Remember, maybe your employees don't remember, but there is no true privacy when people are using a corporate system. There's an assumption of some privacy, but if it's corporate related and someone is being harassed, then there are already legal precedents for that. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not going to get into that, but you as an administrator, you absolutely can get in and get to that access. All you'd have to do is make yourself an owner, and then you can see the history on that. And I'll show you some of the behind the scenes permissions on that. So you can prevent deletion too. So you could set a policy that they can't delete that. So here, if they did something wrong and then tried to cover their tracks, it would be too late. Can Teams be used in lieu of Zoom? Yes, it can be, except I would not probably try to use Zoom for a 50 or 100 or 200 type movie, group meeting or something very large. I think that Zoom has been built from the ground up to be a larger broadcasting environment. I think Team fits well within its confines of being a team. That team, what size is a typical team? 8, 10, 50? That would maybe be the largest. I don't think you would turn around and try to do a team meeting with 200 participants. I think that really is why they have plugins to WebEx, why they have plugins to Zoom, so you could turn around and say, hey, I actually think, where did I do that? I know I set that up on one of the screens. I went through here and I added more apps. There's Zoom. Open it. I got Zoom in here, and I can actually, hi there, ZoomBot. What would you like to do? I'm your Zoom meeting assistant. How cool is this? So let's look at the commands. If we type help, it will come back and tell us our commands. Type help to see which we can do. And then it will tell you, oh, okay, we can start a meeting, we can start a topic, we can join to a meeting ID right from within here. So they even integrated Zoom inside of Teams. So is it a direct replacement? Not so. I have, how many people we have today? We have like 76 people. I won't want to try to do that. I don't think I try to do that in Teams, but you can. It does support it. You read all the documentation, it says it can scale and it can do it. I think there's places for some of these other tools as well. How do you add a guest member? You just invite them. All you do is send an invite to them. It's as simple as that. You can invite anybody to be a member of it, and it's that easy. So if we go back, I'll get out of this Zoom. Let me go back to my team. Allison said, let's see, she put a note in here for me. Said she put it in one of these groups. Where'd it go? The question answer is covering up I got multiple windows here, as you can see. I'm in the chat. Oh, okay. There you are. Files in our JSI team general channel. So if I go to Teams, JSI general, files, there's some files, and then we also have our document library. This is much larger, and like here's all my presentation materials. So I go in here, there's like all my different presentations that I've done in the document library. So I made those public. I can make a private channel. I can come in here and add a channel, and I can give it a name, say, doesn't like comp apostrophe. Did you see that? It warned me. And then I can change this to private, and I can decide who's going to be able to see it. I just build a new one, and now I can create a private channel that has Jill in it. I can add Allison. And I can tell it done. And I just created a private channel that only the three of us have access to under the JSI team. Pretty cool, huh? Now you go into it, I can start making posts. I can do an @ and flag Jill. I can do an @ and flag Allison. Okay, and if no one else can see this but them, and I can come over here and load a file in here and upload a file in this private channel, and they're the only ones that see it. Okay, if I want to copy the link, I could send the link and I could actually share with someone else as well. But that's literally, and notice the little lock that shows that it's a private channel. If you're not involved in, say, Bigger Brains, you don't care about that channel, you can actually tell it to hide that one, and so it will hide it, and then you won't have to see it. So now it says you have a hidden channel. So it's kind of nifty how it does that. Now activities will show the activity and says, oh, looks like I can find it. And Jill replied. So she saw my private channel and she can see it. So what you start doing is you literally don't have to call up IT and say, I need a folder that only these 5 people can access for this project, and it's a confidential project and I don't want anyone else having it. Can you configure that for me? You just took that out of the hands of IT. You can set it up, and you're the owner. You have control over it. It's secure, and you build it, and they're not even going to see it. So yeah, you get a lot more control over your environment this way. Is Teams running on our hosted site? Teams is believe it, everyone gets Teams for free with your Office 365 and SharePoint. So you already have, whether you're using it or not, you already have a SharePoint site built for you by Microsoft. It's generic. Let me show you ours. We did a little customization for it. And I have a few things open. I have the Microsoft Office 365 admin console. This shows our groups. Oh, it wants to authenticate me. I have the admin center for SharePoint. I have the Office 365 admin again. I have, there's some Teams video training is awesome. But let me log into my account again. Oh, something's happened. Sorry, too much going on. I left these all open last night. I guess I should have started with a clean board. So let's just open up and go to, mine is right there. That's the name of ours based on our company name. Hosted by Microsoft, secured by Microsoft. And there's ours. This is a little older style. They have new ones. You can change the look and feel. This is all customizable, but we have vacation calendars, on-count calendars. We have our document library. This same document library we were looking at inside of Teams. So you get SharePoint with your Office 365 subscription as well. And a lot of people weren't using this. A lot of you were probably even surprised you have this, that it's already built out there. And if you click on the dots up here, you get your app launcher and you can see all the Microsoft apps. So you can run all the apps that you get from 365 as well. And I like this. Let me show you this feature. This is really important to show you. Let's go back to Teams. Let's go back to a document. Let's go find a file. And let's open this PDF. Well, this is a PDF, so that's easy, but it opens inside of Teams. You don't have to worry about, oh, do I have Adobe or have a PDF viewer? Don't have to worry about it. It opens it up right in there. So what happens if you open up a file that is an Excel file? I don't know if I have anything. What can I open? I wish I had some more publicly shareable documents. Here's a good one. I can open, here's one I like, my favorite one. I wrote this little article, profit is not a four-letter word. What does 5 minutes cost? So that's a good one. So I open this up. I'm not opening up Word locally. I'm opening it up. It's just going to authenticate me. Yeah. This is an example of what an employee costs you. This is a study from the American Payroll Association. If you are paid $15 an hour and you waste 5 minutes a day, this is, and you have 15 employees, this is what you waste when a half hour is wasted in a year, or what an hour is wasted. This is how much it costs you with just 15 employees. Pretty scary numbers, huh? So just try to teach his employees what's 5 minutes cost. Well, it costs a lot when you multiply it across your number of employees. So this was an interesting article that I shared with our team. So, but what I'm really trying to show you is not the article, but the fact that I was able to open up a document in Word without having Word installed right there in the cloud. So that's a web version of full version that you can use. And then when you come over here, you have the option of saying, hey, open it in a separate window or open it in my local desktop. And then if you open it up in the browser, you can do collaboration with your fellow employee. So if I want to do a chat session and I want to talk to Allison, I'm on Allison right here. I can just come right down to the camera, and we can literally just go right up here. These buttons should look familiar. Up at the top here. This is very Skype-ish. This is where you can add another person to the team, to this chat session if I want, where I can hit this button and say, hey, let's call Allison and let's do a video. And now we're doing a video chat session with Allison, and Allison's working from home. Hello, Allison. So I just literally instantly done a team meeting. You can see me in the corner, Allison at home, and I can share my screen with her. And you can turn off your camera if you want. You can just have it as an audio, but we're talking over the internet. We're talking over a private channel. But this is how quickly and easy it was to do an instant call with someone else in your Teams, literally from the chat session right to here. You can also have it record. And you can instantly, bye Allison, sorry. But you can literally come over to a team channel and you can decide to have a group meeting, and you come down into general, and now you come to this meet now, and you can turn around and you can literally set up a meeting now. You could schedule a meeting, you can add a subject, and now you can instantly have a meeting with everybody as well, so you can do it with the whole team. You can also do cross-team announcements. So when you start a conversation here and you hit this, you can start doing all kinds of formatting, and then look, you can post it in multiple channels. So I can turn around and start a subject here in the general channel under JSI, and I can decide to post it across multiple channels. Really, really powerful system. I know I can go on and on with it. I just really wanted to give you a highlight of how powerful this is and why this is our new de facto standard here at Just Solutions. Let's see what kind of other questions I've got. I've been trying to answer them as we go. Is it available to do on a phone? Yes. Teams is a free download. I actually did a Teams call this morning with 2 of my techs. And there's a free app you can install on your mobile phone. You then, and I did it right over the cellular network, and we literally did a 3-way call from my car. I did have Bluetooth enabled, but yeah, you can actually use Teams over tablets. It works on every platform. The program is free for your tablet, for your iPhone, for your Android, you name it. Not a problem there. Yes, anyone can use Teams. You don't have to have Office 365. Teams accounts are free, and there is interoperability between Skype and Teams as well. But you can have anyone come into a Teams meeting, just like they don't have to have WebEx. Of course, there's a little applet that anyone has to install, but it is free and there is no cost. Anyone can have free Teams for being part of a meeting. So the meetings, again, does not, just like WebEx and Zoom, there's no cost at all for the other party. Just because you want to use Teams doesn't matter. But now let's look at the calendar integration. This literally is integrated directly with your Outlook. And then you can literally click and open your meeting. And I'm going to have a meeting with Microsoft this afternoon, and it's everything Azure for MSPs. So you literally can set up your meetings. Here's my group call for my accountability group, and you're literally connected and seeing your all your Teams activity, and it ties perfectly with your Outlook. This is my Outlook, and that's how cool it is with the system. It really ties everything together beautifully. I can come up to the top here and say, hey, let's start a new meeting. Let's meet now. Those are all options. Let's see what we got else for questions. Limit number of people that can be on a team? No, not that I'm aware of. How do we get the quick start guide? We're gonna have to email blast it out. I couldn't find it quick enough to post it. But we'll send you out the quick start guide. It's a nice PDF. And it helps you really get going quickly on it. What else? Yeah, so I think I answered those. Could you use a platform for a webinar? And could you use it as a platform for a webinar instead of Zoom? Yeah, absolutely. The reason I did not do that today is I couldn't figure out how I was going to show you it and be in it. So I decided to use Zoom to be able to bring you all in through Zoom and then show you Teams. But everything I'm doing here, I could have just done in Zoom or in Teams instead of Zoom. But when I was playing around with how I do this, I said, well, why don't I do the demo using Zoom and share my desktop showing you Teams? So that's why I did it that way. What common hiccups newbies run into? Sometimes some firewall, blockage in your office, but they have lots of documents on how to do that, or local firewall. But one thing I ran into was they set quotas. You get the terabyte of storage, but the default sizes are a little smaller. So some of the hiccups is you turn around and have to expand your storage as people start using it more. But very, very easy to do that. They make it really painful. I've got to tell you, this is not hard. This really is not hard for you or your users to get familiar with. They give you a ton of free videos. I keep finding more and more, and I keep sharing the links with everybody because there's just an abundance of training videos. And we have one we can send you for free. It's free right now because of this coronavirus. Bigger Brains is offering a free Zoom training videos, and I went through those 6 lessons, and they were great. And then Microsoft has a ton of free training. So no problem with the training, and I'm available to help too. It's one of the things I like to do, so I'm happy. If you're having issues with people not hearing you, we'd have to look at what's going on. That's called a SIP ALG. It's a SIP translation problem. It's typically a spectrum issue. Basically not pairing up the audio channel right. And yes, it is HIPAA compliant. It's actually compliant with all different systems. And if you are government, we can also put you on the Microsoft Government Cloud, which is another option if you need to do that. But this meets all the requirements because it does have encryption and secure channels and all those kinds of things. So Microsoft is really done a phenomenal job making sure for financial institutions, you name it. Teams is used across government agencies as well. So they've done a great job with that. But the most hiccups is probably just having people help them with their camera or microphone, which is really a Windows thing, not even really a Teams thing. I don't know. We haven't really run into a lot of issues trying to get people set up with multi-factor authentication, which is what we're trying to do now, is get people using their mobile app to authenticate to get into Office. We recommend that. So maybe some steps there, but no, it's really been probably one of the easiest tools I've ever started playing with and using. Yeah, so that's interesting. That is an admin function. If you have a problem starting a chat session with an external person, that's because they didn't set that. You have to enable that. It's by default turned off. I'm not sure why, but it's default turned off, and you just have to go into the Teams admin console. It's very easy to do. It's just a checkbox, and you enable guest and external connections. I learned that because I wanted to hook this up with one of my clients, and then when it went in there, it shed right in the log, blocked communication with the site, and it told me. So it's literally a slide check to say you want to enable it. I'm not sure why that's the default, but that's what they did. They did make that a default. So it's very easy to turn that on and get rid of that error to allow it. They might have to do it on their end as well. But it's not hard to do, and I think in most cases, as long as it's enabled one way, it might be okay. I'd have to double check that, but again, it's very easy. It's easily documented. It's already been documented, and it's very easy to correct. Where is that to turn on and can show us? Absolutely, I'd be happy to show you. I can show you how to get into the Teams admin console too. I'd be happy to help you with any of that. Shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to send you a screenshot and show you how to get into that. But there's a Teams admin console, just like there's a SharePoint admins console, and again, if you're not administrative for your account, then that's a different issue. But the administrator, we're typically, Just Solutions is typically a delegated admin for our clients. That means if you're one of our clients, we can go in and show you and do it. If not, I could show you where you'd have to go into your portal to do it. But there's a lot of different admin consoles. There's admin consoles for Teams and SharePoint and Exchange, even though it's all hosted, all these things are hosted in the cloud, Microsoft has done a phenomenal job giving you pretty granular control over your own environment, even though it's hosted. No, the group leader, everyone in the teams, let me go in and show you. Under Teams, if I go look at members, and I go look at the managed team, you'll see who the owners are, and then you'll see all the other members. So no, we're generally, this is not administered by us. Yes, we are your admin for the back end, but all this creation, all this capability is given to you, and that's the beauty of it, is you don't need to put in requests to the IT department. We call this shadow IT. Corporate IT, some corporate IT companies are so controlling that they get nervous about this stuff, so they may lock down some of your permissions. But all the capability is there. If we want to block people from deleting data from channels, we can do that, or deleting files, or adding guests. You can control all kinds of granular features as an admin. But as far as your teams, if you're the owner, then you can decide who has access to your channel and who has access to those files. And they always recommend at least 2 owners per channel. Just in case there's a problem with someone getting in, you always want someone else to get in there. And they have a really great tool for the admin to look at all that information. So the admin can see the back end and can see who's the owners of different channels. They can see there's all these statistics of whether a channel's being used. Maybe it hasn't been used for a long time, and you want to archive it, you want to get rid of it, you want to reclaim that disk space. There's all this great administrative tools behind there. And again, the way Microsoft's built the interface, they've done a phenomenal job. There is nothing like this. Slack doesn't come close. None of these other tools come close. Google Team Hangouts, none of that. Microsoft has just integrated this and tied their products together in such a great way that you know, you can be a hater or a lover, but the product does work. Any other questions? I know I'm still answering them, and there's still quite a few on your call. I'm happy to continue answering it. If there's anything else, I can jump around and show you. Calls, that requires a E5 license. You can set up calls with external people. What I mean by that is audio calls, internet calls are free, but if you want to actually call landlines, you can. This literally supports this will support SIP phones, VoIP phones. So you could literally have this in their mind, and I guess maybe we'll see what happens with the telecom companies like Ring Central and Nextiva and Star to Star and all these companies tying into this. But you can actually integrate phone capability with Teams and actually get yourself a phone number. One of the coolest features I found with Teams was you can, in a channel, you can go to this channel and it can say, okay, here's our Teams general channel. I can go in and say, hey, get me the email address for this channel. Now it builds this email address. I can take this email address, copy it, and now I can turn around and put it in an email. And if I create an email and drop that in my email in the CC, it's going to put that email into the thread. And it will automatically suck that over into Teams as well, which is really kind of cool. So that's even a way to get an email chain built into the conversation inside of Teams, which is pretty wild. So it can literally build a custom email that you can use for for each of your channels, which is kind of wild. That was another thing I picked up in one of the training, which I thought was like really cool. Again, it stores all your documents. You can load pictures up there. You can synchronize them with your local files. If I jump down locally to my, how do I get out of that? Yep, there we go. I come over to file share. Here's my OneDrive. Here's my employee document library. So here's the Just Solution SharePoint site. And here's my files, and they're all synchronized, and it shows you they're in the cloud or they're synchronized with my local folders. So you can have copies here as well as in the cloud for your documents, and working from home makes it really easy. What video do you suggest starting out with? I'm going to send you the link for the Bigger Brains series, since they're offering that free for the next 30 days. We'll share that video with you. How do I schedule a video meeting with my team? Very easily. Let's go back over to Teams and show you. But we'll get you the link out. Hopefully Allison's keeping track of all my promises. Let's see, we're going to send out the quick start guide, and we're going to send you the link to the Bigger Brains videos, which are free. Great, really well done training videos on Teams. You'll be impressed. So if you're in a channel, pick the channel you want. So like, let's say I want to do a Guardian Shop team meeting. So I come into that channel. So as you can see, I picked Guardian Shop, I went to channel, and I come down here and I do the meet now. It will pop open and I can say schedule. So maybe I don't want to do it live, so I just switch it to schedule, and then it brings it up, and I'm going to say we're going to have a okay, just because of that. And then I can list who's required. Well, you can say whether they're optional or whatever, but you just literally build everybody. Allison, do I need to even put anyone's name in here since they're already part of that team? Allison does even more than me on this stuff. Nope. So you don't even have to add anyone else, but you could if you needed to, as well as including a third-party person. And then you can put details of the meeting. And I can set it up, look at my calendar. Did you notice it has the ability to look at your scheduling as well? Pick your time, and then hit send. And see Scheduling Assistant? How many are familiar with Scheduling Assistant in Outlook? There you go. Now you have Scheduling Assistant, and it can help look across the user's calendars and see what people's availability are for the team. Okay, and then you hit send, and now everyone will get that. Thursday at 11:30, we're having a Guardian meeting, View Bigger Brains. There it is, it's in the channel, and it will now be on people's calendars. Come over to calendar, and there's my Guardian meeting for Bigger Brains. Was that easy enough? Let me get back to that question. Hopefully, where did I put my window for the question? Zoom, where are you? I lost my little window for that. Sorry about that. Let's bring up my meeting controls. So hopefully that helped you out. Once meeting is scheduled, how does team member access the meeting? It's right in their calendar. The link's right there. So when you open up your calendar link, it says join meeting. You just click on it. So it's in the email they got, and it's also on their calendar. It's that easy. You just click the link and it opens for you. It will also be sitting there in the channel as well. I hope that helps with that. So we'll get you the link for Bigger Brains. If there's some people that need help with the Teams admin console, please email me. let me bring up my contact information for you. Email me and I'll happy to send you some screenshots and tell you how to get to your Teams console, admin console. Again, my assumption is you are an admin group global administrator of your Office 365, or you've been given permissions for that. If you haven't, we can help figure that out. But once I do that, it's not hard. I hate saying that it's not hard, because I remember sitting in an accounting class in college and the professor kept saying how this is not hard, this is not hard, and we all look at each other and say, well, not hard for you. You've been doing it for 30 years. So I do mean that the way that Microsoft has done the interface is it's self-explanatory, and I can walk you through it and then it will make sense. So when I say not hard, concepts might be hard, but the actual interface is done very nicely and shouldn't be that hard to get you up to speed on that. Well, thank you, everyone. This is the top of the hour, so a little over the hour here. I guess I could talk forever, but I got another meeting to get onto, so I am going to close up shop here. And if you want a copy of the recording or the presentation, anything, just email us and we'll be happy to send that out to you. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Stay healthy.